Hey everybody, welcome to FabFit Friday. Hey Andrea, I'm so happy to see you. Oh my God. All right, I haven't worked with the silk scraps you sent me yet, but I will, and I'm going to add that to my list of upcoming topics for FabFit Friday because I'm kicking off my summer sewing and I want to show some things I'm going to sew with. And then once I get all that in gear, I will get your samples out. Hey Pat, welcome, welcome. Um, so last week I went live and the whole time, well, first I tried to go live and I had an audio problem. So then I started again. And when I started again, I somehow put the video on private. So I was busy talking to myself during FabFit Friday last week. And when I realized that something was wrong, I wasn't sure what was wrong till I got off the live. I started to like panic on the inside because I was talking to myself and I thought to myself, oh my goodness, like it made me weird. So I'm so happy you guys are here. I'm glad you can see me and hear me, and I can see you guys in the comments. So thank you, thank you. Let's see, Victoria's here from Virginia. She's been working on her hems and trying to salvage a couple of train wrecks. I know, train wrecks. I'm gonna have some train wrecks too, I think, Victoria. That's my specialty, to have a train wreck. So I feel for you there. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. Hi Bobby from Delaware. Diane Bacon. Hi. Hey Kay, it's so nice to see you here. All right, so before we get started with what I'm going to show you, well, I just want to talk about this dumb little thing here before we get into sewing is what I should have said. All right, so I found my little bunny. Now, the story behind this bunny is my friend wanted me to digitize this in the cross-stitch software and embroider it for a baby bib for a baby gift for her friend. And I couldn't figure out how to do that. So first I said, oh, I can just digitize it and make it a regular filling, just fill it with regular fill, which I was going to do. And then I thought to myself, well, wait a minute, I know how to cross stitch. So I'm cross stitching. So this is a really impressive amount of work. I am going to try to work on it after dinner today. It's just been crazy in my little life. But this is the one of the feet here. And then this right here is, the tummy area. And basically you can see the scale difference. I got the 8-count Aida cloth and it was huge. And then I decided this whole thing would be really big if it was this size on a little baby. So I went to 14-count Aida cloth, which I never work with. But I will tell you, if you want to give cross stitch a try, Aida cloth is your friend because it has very distinct holes to make your cross stitching. And so I'm going to be working on this, and as I work on it, I'll share with you my progress. But this is a nice after dinner thing to do. I just want to show you my back looks almost as nice as my front. I've done a lot of cross stitching in my life, but not lately. So you can see this is where I grab the work. I don't use a hoop. And normally, if I were working on linen, I would use tape to protect the edges, but since I'm on this Aida cloth and it's a huge piece, I'm not bothering with that. So this is my fun cross stitch project. And then because this is sort of an incomplete pattern, usually all these little symbols will denote certain colors. I'm making it up as I go. So I chose a darker brown for the bottom of the foot and then a lighter brown to sort of edge and do the tummy. And then the legs will be, I think, even a lighter color, I think. But we'll see. So I'm going to have to pick colors as I go because, I don't have the color chart here. But I've got a nice selection in here I can work with. This is my little way that I would keep my stuff together when I worked on it. You put the little number of the color on the side of these little things, and you wrap the embroidery floss around there to keep them nice and neat. And I have my little embroidery scissors. Aren't those cute? So I found all this and I'm going to continue to work with that. So I just wanted to recap that. Now here's the funny thing about this pattern. This is the second copy. I brought the copy I was working with from downstairs. I put it on this table and I can't find it, just like last week. I have no idea where it went. So from now on, to solve the problem, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen anymore. And my little stroke of genius that I just discovered with myself here is I'm going to take a big safety pin and I am going to pin this pattern. Well, I guess for now I can just pin it right here. It really doesn't matter, but while I'm not working on it, I'm going to pin it to the fabric because this is the second time I've lost this pattern and I really don't want to print out another one. So now this can't get lost. So there you go. So that's my cross stitch project I wanted to share with you last week. And I'm going to work on that later. Okay, so that was one thing I wanted to share with you last week that I couldn't. Kay says you should check cross stitch, check into stitching over knitting needle cross stitch on your, wait, you should check into stitching over knitting needles cross stitch on your sewing machine. Huh, I don't know what that means. You should check into stitching over knitting needles cross stitch on your sewing machine. Okay, Kay, I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. Give me some more information about that. All right, so the next thing I want to show you is I have 4 fabrics here, and I'm going to share these with you because these are the 4 fabrics I am going to be checking. I'm sewing with to make some new summer things, and I probably showed you some of these fabrics in the past. There's one that's brand new because I'm going to use it for something. So let me explain what I'm going to do with these fabrics. Okay, so this fabric is a twill silk charmeuse, and it feels soft, but it also feels not lush like this one. So if you feel this one, or look at this one, this is just a regular silk charmeuse, which I'm going to use actually to line this linen, because this linen is a very lightweight linen, and I'd like to try to make my 3-seam pants out of this linen, but I don't want my knees and my butt to bag out, so I'm going to do an experiment. Now this is going to be a very expensive experiment because I bought this is 19 millimeter silk charmeuse from Metro Textiles. I bought it when it was 60% off, but it was still 50 something dollars for 2 yards. And then I also, this is linen I got from Metro Textiles a couple summers ago, and it was also $50 a yard. So these are going to be expensive pants, but I really think if I line the linen in the silk, not only will it be super luscious, but I'm hoping it will stand up. And I think what I'm going to do to just save myself a lot of headaches with these 2 fabrics is I'm going to apply some nice best press to them. First, I'm going to wash my silk with my hand wash to shrink it. Make sure my linen is already washed. Then I'm going to starch it with best press so it's nice and stiff, so I can then go ahead and cut these things out, because I'm going to line each piece as I go. So like each piece will be lined. So I'm very excited to work on this, and I will be sharing this later because this is the pants project. I'm still on shirts, so that's going to be a little bit later. Now this is a piece of Irish linen I got from the Wool House at a show a long time ago. This is probably the most expensive, well, no, that's not true, because I think it was 40 something dollars a yard. This is expensive Irish linen. It's very sheer. I'm going to be making my button down sleeveless top out of this. I'll probably have enough to do something else with it too, because I think I got 2 yards. Remember when I used the Kylie in the machine fabric labels? Well, you can see here. Um, oh, Diane is saying serge the edges of your cross stitch fabric. That's a good idea, Diane. Back when when I started cross stitching and I used the masking tape to hold the edges, that was before I had a serger. So serging is a really good idea. But basically, you can see my Kylie in the machine label here. It's 100% linen, 58 wide, 2 yards from Wool House. It's not pre-washed yet, and I gave it $4 signs. It was $40 a yard. So I'm going to be working with this. So I will be washing this, and then I'm going to make a shirt out of this. So I'm going to show you how to, make some adjustments to a fitted, a button-down shirt pattern that has sleeves. And then I'll use that to make my blue linen shirt. So the other thing I want to show you is I have this dress on, and if you follow along with me, you've seen this dress. This is my 3-seam dress. It's got 2 shoulder seams and another seam that starts at the base of the neck, and then it goes down, around to the hem. And I have yoga pants on underneath here, but I think you can also see it's a little snug in my butt. And I've already added 1 gusset, which I think you can see. I don't know if you can see it. It's right here. The tip of it's right here, and then it's basically a godet that I inserted in the seam to make it wider. I'm going to add another gusset to it to make it a little bit fuller in the skirt. Oh, Diane says that Irish linen is beautiful. It is really pretty. I've had that in my stash, I think, since before the pandemic. I've had it for a while, and I really want to sew with it. I keep taking it out and petting it and putting it back. So I'm going to definitely be sewing with that. Now this is another silk I got at Metro Textiles, and this has a vertical pattern, right? So if I fold it on the bias, it's going to be more of a, the straight up and down flowers will hang, on the bias. So I would like to make this dress out of this fabric. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the skirt as full as possible so it's swishy with whatever I have left over. And I'm going to hopefully be able to work that out so it's, the print goes in the right direction. Because you can see here, it's like a vertical printed fabric. I just thought this was really pretty. Now I haven't washed this yet either. And let me just make this a little bit lighter so you can really see what's going on here. I think I need to make it so you can really see the details. So see how pretty that is? I just really, really like this. And I feel like when you have a dress that's a good go-to dress, then it's like an instant thing. You put it on, you're ready to go. And I like to have a few things in my closet like that I don't have to worry about finding things that match it or, whatever. You put it on and you're done. You're dressed and you're ready to go. So basically, I'm going to be working with this. Now this is also going to need a wash. And I wish you could feel the difference between this twill. And I wonder if I can zoom in enough for you to see that it's twill. Let me just see if I can really zoom in here. I don't know if you can tell that it's a twill. Maybe if I lighten it up a little bit more. I'm just trying to get it so you can see the weave, because it doesn't have a satin weave, it has a twill weave to it, which gives it a slightly stiffer hand, I think. But it's got a crisper feel to it than the regular, the solid silk. So if I put this, and this is really going to blow out here, but You know, this one, if you look at this one up close, you can just see it's more luscious and softer feeling than this twill. So anyway, those are things I'm going to be working with. I'm decided I'm going to stop saving my good fabrics because, they're not doing anybody any good in my closet. So I'm going to start branching out and doing it. So what I want to do here, the other thing I want to just tell you guys before I get too much into the thick of things here, if anybody has been thinking about doing pants fitting and you're not doing anything after FabFit Friday, if you head over to patternreview.com, I'm teaching a pants fitting class at 3 o'clock today, and it's a really good overview of my entire process because I actually fit my neighbor. So I started start to finish the whole fitting process, fitting my neighbor Marie, and it's a slideshow presentation, and we're going to plan to do a follow-up fitting class. So if you take this hour and a half overview with all the instructions on how to do the fitting, if you tried the fitting, we're going to then offer a fitting class to go with it later. So that's at 3 o'clock today. I didn't put a link in the description because I forgot to do that, but it's there. And then if you want to join me in person, I have 4 spots left in my 3-day pants fitting in Lansing, Michigan on July 17, 18, and 19. It's going to be at Seams Fabrics and Mercantile right in Lansing. And I think this is going to be one of my favorite workshops. I haven't gotten there yet, but the shop is beautiful. The classroom is beautiful. You don't have to bring your machines because she's a Bernina dealer. And there are a few very, very charming bread and bat Airbnbs that are literally right next door that you could stay at. So 4 spaces left. I have a link in the description below if anybody's interested in that. And then the other thing is I want to tell everybody that when I was at the Fiber Fabric Craft Festival before H&H a couple weekends ago, or 3 weekends ago now, I had redesigned my pattern covers, and I shared those with you earlier. I think I still have some on my desk here. Like here's an example of the Pontiac jean. Okay, so this is going to be the style cover I'm going to have from now on. There's going to be flats and a, on a body so you can see what it looks like. And then when it's finished rebranding and I make it into a book, you'll be able to see the size chart back here. So it's not 100% finished yet. I just did covers. So because I went on a printing spree and printed 20 copies of 23 different patterns, that's a lot for me to manage in stock here. So if anybody's interested in purchasing any of my printed patterns, I'm having a 30% off sale. And I guess it kind of ties in with Memorial Day weekend, which I want to just wish everybody a happy Memorial Day weekend this weekend. So if you head over to my website, you can use new cover 30, all one word, to get 30% off printed patterns. So those are all my announcements. And now what I want to do is I want to switch my view here, and I want to show you what I'm going to do to this. Let me just get it so it's not so bright. Oh, can you see one other thing I'm working on here? The reason why I've been such a crazy person with all my little projects is because I do golf flags for Portland Golf Course. So they like these yellow ones that are all black except for the white ball. So I have to make these. And then I'm also working on, and if anybody lives locally to me, I don't think anybody does actually, but this is so cute. My soon-to-be son-in-law and daughter are starting their little Positano landscaping business. So I've been embroidering hats, and I've been embroidering, shirts. I have to wash all the stabilizer off, but so now I have some short sleeve shirts to give him, and I have some hats. I have a few different color hats. But anyway, so I've been doing all of this embroidery on top of all of my sewing stuff, so it's been a little crazy here. Okay, so that was just a little aside. I wish I really had more time for embroidery because, you know, I really enjoy it. So whenever I can stick some embroidery into my life, I do enjoy that. I'm going to move me over here so you can see what I'm doing right here. So this is the pattern if that I finally fit onto myself, and I raised my dart and I made my dart smaller. If just to remind you, here was my original pattern. So I picked the dart up 3/4 of an inch. You can see here I had to fill it with paper. So I slid it up 3/4. I made it a little bit smaller by pleating out about almost an inch actually, because you can see I had done a big full bust adjustment because I always think I need more room than I really do. So this pattern has been fitted to me, and I really like the fit of it now. So I'm going to be now working on making this a sleeveless top. And some of what I wanted to do here is I am going to put my shoulders together just for a second here so you can see what the armhole looks like. Let me do it this way. Oh, and by the way, I have an update about this tape. If you've been following along with me and you saw the cool tool, for me, this cool tool went practically viral because I got 30-something thousand views on this cool tool video. So it was crazy. But what I want to show you here is, here's one of the ways I'm going to use it. If I want to fold this dart up, right, so I can match my shoulder, let me just fold it into place here. I'm going to fold it down like this. Okay, I can literally use some of this removable tape to hold it down, and then when I want to pick it up, take it off later, I'll show you how easy it comes off after the fact. But I am loving working with this tape, and the update is Scotch is going to reinstate this. So if you can't find this, I did use the pixie tape, which, you know, also removes, not as well as this one, but you know, I was using this as well, so this is a good alternative. It's also less expensive than this, but they are reinstating this. So if Karen's here, I want to thank her again. I absolutely love this tape dispenser, and I love this tape. It's been fabulous. And here it is, taping the dart shut. And what I'm going to do here is, because I've got all this paper, and I know I don't need to adjust my shoulder, I'm just going to cut it out on the shoulder now that now that I taped the dart shut. And then that will allow me to put these together, just to show you here. When I work on sleeveless things, oh, maybe what I can also do is, well, I'm just going to overlap it like this. I just want to make sure I have a nice shape. I'm just lining it up like this. Oh, so we can see, all right, let me cut this armhole because we also, I think I have some sort of problem on my thing. Let me just cut this out for a second. I want to see what we have here. Okay, now let's put it together with this. So if I line this up like this, you can see it's a little off actually. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to use my sew tights, and probably I can just, let me just fold this back too. So if I fold this back on the actual seam, like this, Oh, and then I put it over here. You can see it's a little bit off. So we're going to fix that. Okay, so I've got those together, and what I want you to see here is, let me just move this along so you can see. All right, so here's my armhole, and I think that's confusing, so let me just take this paper off too. I want you to really see what I'm seeing. Okay, so here's my armhole, and the back is about a 1/4 inch. See how the back is about a 1/4 inch shorter? So I'm going to want to fix that. But the good news is I also want to make it so it comes in a little bit. So from the tip of my shoulder, and if I just switch my view here for 1 second, let me just move this up. I don't want to have to fight with my bra showing, right, on a sleeveless top. So my tip of my shoulder is right here. Okay, and then you can see the reason why I wore this dress today to have on Fab Fit Friday is because I can see how much I can cut that armhole in. I don't want the armhole to sit at the tip of my shoulder. I mean, it can, that's not wrong for sleeveless, but I'd like to have it come in a little bit so the shape of the armhole is similar to what I'm wearing here. So because I have, I can feel where it would be. Let me do this one. Okay, I think you can see here, I probably can move or trim off about, like, let's say 3/4 of an inch of my shoulder. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, I feel like is that like too bright? I'm having a hard time seeing if that's too bright or even if it's in, hold on 1 second, let me just make sure it's, I think that's okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, with the neckline is lined up, and I like the shape of my neckline, and I don't want to change the neckline because I am going to put a collar on here. Okay, it's going to be a button down with a collar, but it's going to be sleeveless. I am going to come in 3/4 of an inch like this. I'm going to go ahead and just make a line, kind of straight through there. Okay, and then I'm basically going to connect that in a very smooth way. Like this. So you can see what I'm doing is I'm cutting off some of the fabric around the shoulder, so it'll look more like what I'm wearing. And because now I'm matching my stitching line to my stitching line, I'm going to just cut it off with it in line like this. Well, actually, I'm not going to do that. Let me take this off now that I marked it, because I want to make sure when I cut it off, I can see what I'm doing. So if I cut it off like this, let's cut it like that, and then this one, same thing, I'm just going to cut it. So I'm getting rid of a little bit of the fabric that you would normally have for a set-in sleeve. So that's one of the things I like to do when I'm making a sleeveless design. And if I fold it back and check it one more time, okay, you can see that that is going to be, that's going to be nice. That shape is going to be nice. You want it to be nice and smooth through the intersection of the back and the front. So I like that. So I'm done fussing with this now. So let me just show you, after I did all of that stuff with, with the shoulder, and I taped this dart shut, look how nice this comes off. And then I'm just gonna stick it right here, because if I need another piece in the near future, I bet you I can take this off and use it again. So I'm going to leave it right there in case I want to use it again. But notice it doesn't damage the paper at all. Really, really love it. All right, so that takes care of my shoulder. I'm not going to adjust anything on the neckline because, like I said, I'm going to be putting the collar and collar stand on there. So that part's going to stay the same. But the other thing I'm going to want to do is create a shirt tail hem. So to do that, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut off, I'm just going to cut off the back because it's relatively straight like this. So I can match these up like this. Okay, so there is the side seam. And I mean, it would overlap an inch, right? So if I overlap it an inch, that will work. And actually I can use my piece of tape I used on that dart. I can use it over here to hold this down again. So see, it's repositionable and reusable. So, like I said, I'm loving, loving, loving this tape. I didn't put a link to this either in this video, but it's, if you check Cool Tools, it's, you know, a couple weeks ago I did this video, and it's got all the links, and you might be able to find that paper. Now, what am I, to make a shirt tail hem, what do I need to consider? I want to tell you a sad story about one of the first shirt tail hems I ever made. I'm just going to stand up here for a second. So I was working on something. Now this is a dress, obviously. So if you pretend the hem is down here, like let's pretend the hem is here. Well, I just decided, oh, I want to make a shirt tail hem. So I cut it off and I made the nice shape, but I didn't consider how long I wanted it from the base of my arm down the side seam, right? So I want to make sure I don't make my shirt tail hem too, you know, so it's too high here. I don't want my skin to show. I don't want my waistband to show. So I'm just going to measure from my armhole, which, and if you're wondering, I did not lower the armhole on my pattern for sleeveless because on my side, I don't want my bra to show. So I might lower it a little bit, but I'm not going to lower it till I see how it fits me. So that's why I didn't adjust the base of the armhole. But I am going to measure from about here, and I'm going to measure down, and I can feel the waistband underneath this dress because I'm wearing a yoga pants. So that's about here. So I'm actually going to go down maybe to here. I think that's a safe amount. So that's 16.5 inches. So let me show you what I'm going to do with that measurement now. Let me switch my view. Let me bring this back down. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure 16.5 inches, or I'll measure 17 inches. Oh, well, this measures 17 inches with the hem. Let me look at that again. Hold the phone. Let me remeasure because I know that this I know what's happening to my thing here. Hold on. Uh-oh, I think I screwed up my oops. Well, now I might not be able to change my view back. Oh, I know what I can do. All right. I screwed up something in my dashboard, so I'm just going to make this big for a minute. And I'm just going to, let me just measure that one more time. Let me just use this ruler. So if I put this up here, and I feel for my waist, this is where my waistband is. So maybe right here. Oh yeah, so that would be, all right, let's do it like this. So my waistband is right here. So I want it to be a little lower than my waistband. So let's say I make it like right here. that seems better to me. All right, that's 14 inches. I'm gonna go with 14 inches. I think I made it a little bit too a little bit too long when I did it the first time. Okay, let me just see here. All right, let me just. All right, so let me just put this back up here for now. Oops. Okay. All right, so let's get this over here. So this measures 14 is up here plus a half. So I'm going to go ahead and give myself a little mark at 14 and a half inches. So up at the top, 14 and a half inches is right here. And then that will give me a good starting spot. So I'm going to go ahead and go like this. I'm going to draw a straight line here because I don't want my shirt tail to come up to a V like this, right? So I want a little bit of straight, and then it's going to come down to the original here. So basically I'm going to do something like this and have it come here. And then over here, same thing. I'm going to gradually come down like this. Now notice when I come back into the original length of the hem, I'm coming in before I get to the end because I don't want to create a V at the center back either. So this is straight, and then I come up, and then I gradually straighten out and then come back down. So this is a nice shirt tail hem shape for me. Actually, I'm going to come down over here. Okay, so I'm leaving about 4 inches away from the actual center front, which is right here. So I kind of like that. And before I cut anything off, I just want to double check because I traced this. Now see, look how nice this is. I can take this tape off again, right? I'll stick it on my dispenser for now. I just want to double check that my side seams actually match 100% because, you know, stuff happens. My shoulders weren't perfect, so I just want to make sure it's perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk this from here, my new edge. I'm going to walk it all the way. Oh, and by the way, I know I'm interjecting a lot of things here, but I will tell you, this KDK bag has been a godsend for me. I never unpack it. So you have seen me search for things on multiple occasions because I can't find them. Well, I leave all my important tools in my KDK bag, so I always know where things are. So here is what I was looking for, my little stiletto. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk this, you know, up. Now here's where the dart leg is right here. So I'm just going to make a little line right here. And then I can make sure it matches from the dart leg. So basically I just went from down here to over here to the top dart leg. See? All right, so I can say I'm pretty happy with the way that matches. So my side seams match. So that means I am good to cut these off. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut this off. All right, and then we have one more thing to think about on this shirt. I'm just going to go ahead and cut this off. Okay, so that matches. So now I've cut those things off. So now I have this nice shirt tail hem. I mean, it's not a, you know, it's not like a really curvy one, but it's just going to give me a little bit of shape for my Irish linen. Now the other thing I want to consider here is, and I think I'm just going to leave it for this, so along my front, the other thing I just want to talk about here is this shirt has a button placket. So if anybody's working with my perfectly fitted shirt and they are adding to the front so you can have a seam allowance and have you know, be able to pin it together, basically if I want to then put my button placket back on, I have to readjust for that. So this is my center front line here, and this is the 1/2 inch that I added so I could just pin it together for fitting without having to include this. So what I want to do here is I want to figure out how much of this front edge I'm going to have to cut off to get the same result with a button placket, like put it back together. There's a 3/4 inch allowance on both the center front and the button placket here. So if I fold that back for now, and I line up, well, I don't even need to fold it back. What I'm trying to show you here is, if I line the button placket, this orange hashed out area, that's my button placket. The center of my button placket is the center front of the shirt when the button placket is put on. So I'm lining up, I am lining up the center front of the button placket with the center front line. So what that means is I now need to cut some of this off so it all still works back together. So if this is my center front, and so technically this center front is going to be on the button placket. So if I mark, and I'm just going to use a, I have a pencil I think I can use. Let's use a pencil. Oh, here, let me use my big pink pencil. So in case you ever get yourself into this situation, I just want to show you what you can do to make sure you don't, you know, you get it back together right. Because if this shirt fits with the center front lining up right here, let's say, right? Oh, that's better, I think. It's a little bit dark. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a note of this is going to be right here. Let me just do it this way. And actually, instead of using a sew tight, I'm going to use my repositionable tape again to hold it there. So right here, I'm just going to make a little mark. And it should be 5/8 of an inch away, and it is working out to be 5/8 inch away. This is where the that's where the seam is to sew the placket on. Oh, so KG is saying to me I could just add a button placket onto here. I totally could do that, but I want to have a separate button placket for this shirt because I'm going to cut it out on the bias so it looks a little different. So you are right, I could just add a button placket onto here. I literally could have. But what I'm trying to show you here is if you you know, if you, oh, this is actually wrong. Hold on a second. If you get in a situation where you have a button placket that is separate, like this pattern, and then you want to put it back on after you do fitting, I'm trying to show you how to do that. And I did line this up wrong. Hold on one second. Does this erase? No, I guess it does. Let me just erase this line. So from my center, the button placket extends. Oh, you want to know why? Because this is a chubby pencil. It's right here. So I just have to make it on my line here. So right here is the out. This is the inside edge of placket. So that's where you stitch it on, right? So that's the stitching line for the placket. All right, now I'm going to take the placket off. So if this is the stitching line to sew the placket on, because see, if I had it on like this, my center front would line up, right? So everybody see that right there? So see how my center front here lines up with this line, lines up with this line. That's the outer edge of the placket. So that means now if I go ahead and draw, I'm just going to finish it all the way down. It's 5/8 from this edge because the button placket is 1 1/4. So I'm just going to draw this line here. Okay. Okay, so that's the outer edge of the placket. So now I just need to add a seam allowance back and then cut the rest off, because if this is where the button placket starts, I only need a 1/2 inch here. My pattern, like I said, has a 3/4 inch seam allowance. So if I want to, I can either add the 3/4. So if I want to just keep it like it is, I'm just going to add the 3/4. I think for a lightweight linen, having an extra seam allowance there won't hurt anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark this. And what I should end up with, and what I am ending up with, is when I made this pattern for fitting, I just added 3/8 of an inch to the outside edge of the pattern, and you can see that's what we're going to end up with in a minute here. Let me just show you. Okay. Okay, so you can see here now, if we look at this together, see how this is the outside edge of the button placket, and then here is my 3/4 inch seam allowance to this line. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut off the rest. So now I can sew my button placket back on, and I've gotten rid of that little extra. All right, so that's, now I've taken care of my front edge. And now, if I were to, just to show this one more thing with this, if I were to take off my removable tape and put it back on the dispenser, and if I were to line up my button placket like this, then let's pretend we're going to sew it on. I'm just going to put a few pins in there at the 3/4 inch. I'll just do a little bit up at the top here. And then if I were to fold it back on itself, and then this would fold back obviously back there, but you can see now I've got my completed front edge. So that's how you do that. Oh, Tana is saying, oh, wait a minute, hold on. Let me see here. I got some comments. Oh, Kay saying gotcha. Yeah, it is a good idea to, I mean, it is also a good idea if you want to eliminate this pattern piece, you totally could just add it on and get rid of the seam allowance between here and here, because you can see now if I just extended the paper out this much, this would be the built on or one piece button placket to the front, but in my case I'm going to cut it on the bias, so it looks a little different. So there you are. So that's how you fix that. And then Tana says, Jen, I'm always confused when making modifications to a pattern with an attached button placket, especially if I've chosen to put a center front seam instead. Yeah, so that's why I wanted to show you this, first of all. So You always need to know where your center front is. And if you're working with a pattern that has a separate button placket, like this one right here, you can see that the center front, it's on the edge. I mean, it's on the pattern. It's way over here. See how I didn't cut it off? But there's only 1/8 of an inch left for a seam allowance. So if you find that center front area, and the way I found it was I basically pretended I was sewing on the button placket. Find the middle of the button placket, that's your center front, because when you sew these together, the left and right will align on top of each other, and then the buttonholes go right in the center of the button placket, which is the center front. So if you put the button placket on like this, figure out where that is, and then just do what I basically just showed you, you can then find out where the edge of the button placket is, and then you can go back out, measure out half the distance of this. So if you find the edge of the button placket, half of the width of the button placket is the center front. And then in your case, Tana, you would just have to add 3/8 of an inch to this to give yourself a 1/2 inch to just sew it together versus, making an opening. And I'm also going to tell you, you're not alone there, because that is one of the biggest things that happens in a class. So when I'm teaching a fitting class, what do I want to say? It bends people's minds to figure out where is center front if you take the button placket off. So I know that is something that causes people agita, because it happens in my bodice fitting classes. Carla's asking, can you add 1/4 inch to the facing edge and fold back a hem to make the inside enclosed? To make the inside enclosed? I do have I don't know, I'm not sure what that means, Carla. Can you add a 1/4 inch to the facing edge and fold back a hem to make the inside enclosed? I do have, oh dear, hold on one second here. I think I'm screwing up my things. Yeah, all right, I'm sorry that I'm shifting myself around like this. I lost my scenes window in my OBS. I'm gonna have to figure out what happened thereafter. But what I want to show you here is I do have a 1/4 inch allowance. See this little 1/4 inch right here? So there is a 1/4 inch that I turn back to make it nice and finished, if that's what you're talking about. An allowance on the facing. So there is a 1/4 inch there. I just have it folded back. I don't know if that's what you mean. Little 1/4 inch. Sometimes when I make winter versions of my shirts, I will use faux suede, and then I don't have to turn it under. All right, now where did my other thing go? Oh my god, this is terrible. I lost my other view, and I don't understand what happened to my little OBS. Is having a problem, and I don't know how to get it back. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to see you again during this video. Oh, wait, here it is. Hold on. Where's my Insta link? That's not where's my Insta link? Come up here. Where is it? Oh my god. I pushed my face camera out of the way, so, and now I can't find it. So there you are. So I'm sorry that I'm having this little video problem here at the end, but basically, I'm gonna have to sign off now because I don't know how to fix the fact that I screwed up my, oh, wait a minute. Oh, here we go. Found it. Look at, I wish I could show you that I work with OBS, and there's a whole panel, and I also need to keep the YouTube studio open Well, for some reason, my little scenes, which lets me switch from face view to table view, it somehow separated itself out into its own little tab. So it was behind the main thing. So I'm sorry about that. But in any case, all right. So to get back to what I was saying, whether or not you're doing a button placket, I mean, you just need to make sure you find that center front, and then that will make it easy. So I hope you guys got the little thing, the little final message for that. And let me just see, are there any other? Oh, Carla says currently the fold on the line facing is a raw edge. The 1/4 inch you have is the seam allowance to add to the placket. The 1/4 inch you have is your seam allowance to add to the placket. On the facing. Okay, so I think you were talking about this, and you were talking about it being raw. It's not raw because it's like I already had built in that little 1/4 inch. So it's not raw. So there is a 1/4 inch that I do fold back. It was just folded back. It's been folded so many times it stays folded back, I guess. So this 1/4 inch is the 1/4 inch you turn. This is the facing side. This green side is the facing side. This is the 3/4 inch seam allowance to sew the placket to the front. Now you don't have to have 3/4. My pattern happens to have 3/4 to sew the placket to the front. So you could cut this down to a 1/2 inch if you're working with my pattern. That's up to you. Oh, hello, Laverne. Welcome, welcome. Oh, I'm Carla. All right. All right. So let me just say hi to Laverne from Detroit. Laverne, you missed it at the beginning of the stream. I was talking about how I'm going to be in Lansing, Michigan on July 17, 18, and 19 doing a 3-day pants fitting class. So if you're interested in pants fitting and you want to join me for that, it's going to be at the Seams, Fabric, and Mercantile in Lansing. And it's going to be really fun. I'm really excited. There's only 4 spots left, so it's definitely happening. So I know Detroit is very close to Lansing. So, and then Carla says, "Oh yeah, all right." So Carla and I are on the same page now. I'm sorry that was a little bit painful, but it's hard to see things on the camera, so don't feel bad. And also, like I said, this 1/4 inch on the placket on the facing side has been turned under so long it doesn't even want to lay back out flat. So when I use this pattern piece, I'm going to have to really make sure I press it flat so I get that 1/4 inch I need. But in any case, also, Laverne, you made it just in time for me to sign off. And again, if anybody wants the quick 1.5-hour pants fitting class with me at 3 o'clock over on Pattern Review, just head over to patternreview.com and click the online classes, and I'm doing a live stream on pants fitting at 3. So I'm going to get off now, prepare for that, and then if anyone's in that class, I'll see you again in an hour from now. But I hope everybody has a really nice Memorial Day, and I'm really hoping next week I will have made some progress on some of my summer sewing so I can show you what I'm doing. I really want to get the shirt going because everything I wear in the summer is a knit. So I want to get some elevated outfits. So if I'm going somewhere and I want to be a little bit more dressed up, or if I'm teaching somewhere and I want to have something on that I made that isn't a knit, I want to make myself some woven shirts. And because I'm hot all summer, I'm going to start with the sleeveless one. So I hope you guys enjoyed my little Fab Fit Friday where I actually got on. It's where I had that little video problem with my OBS in a minute at the end, but I straightened that out too. So I hope everyone has a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, and I'll see you next week for progress on my summer sewing, and maybe I'll have some tips and tricks for, sewing a sleeveless button-down shirt. And then that's going to wrap up the shirt series, and I will be moving on to something else after probably switching back to some pants topics. Oh, hi Jay. Hi, bye Jen. Hi Jen, bye Jen. Live in the UK. Long weekend for us here in UK. Catch you again soon. Well, thank you for catching me at the end. And oh, Diane says enjoy your weekend and thank you. Well, I think I can tell you one little secret because I know my daughter does not watch my sewing tutorials, but she's getting engaged tomorrow. Super excited about that. So that's another thing I have to get ready for. So I did say it out loud to you in my YouTube channel, but I know she doesn't watch me, so she will never see this. And even if she does, she won't be watch it before tomorrow morning. So very excited about that. There's gonna be a little family barbecue in the afternoon, so really gonna have a fun time tomorrow. Very excited about that. So anyway, shh, don't tell her. All right, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Happy holiday weekend, and I will see you again next week. And before I divulge any other secrets, I'm gonna get off. All right, okay, bye bye.